Welcome back to the Austin Video Sew Along. If my math is correct, this is day 9, and we'll be assembling and attaching the View B skirt. Again, if you did View A, you're free to skip past this lesson. But if you're making View B, let's get started. Now, the actual assembly of the skirt pieces is the same for View B as it is for View A. So if you watched that, you already know what's going to happen here. We have our front pieces, and we're going to sew them together along the center front seam line. So, going to pin both ends. We have a single notch right here. Then we're going to find the center, pin, centers, pin, and you could just sew across with, here, 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 and at the bottom. This linen is a bit shifty, and I'm on camera, so I am going to add a few extra pins. All right, now we are just going to sew straight across here. All right, so I have my 1/4 inch foot on again. We are sewing a 1/2 inch seam. So we are now going to press our seam allowance open. Now, same as View A, we're going to go over to our machine. We're going to edge stitch on either side of the seam line, and then we're going to top stitch a 1/4 inch away from the edge stitching. All right, here's our edge stitching foot, and these are kind of long seams, so I would just make sure you have plenty of thread in your bobbin, because it's not the end of the world if you have to back tack or take something out, but it just looks nice if you have a continuous line all the way down and you don't have to join anything. This is a lot of skirt, so make sure you're not sewing over it or it doesn't get caught on your machine or anything like that. And we are going to sew the other side. I've switched back to my 1/4 inch foot, and it's time to top stitch a 1/4 inch away from our edge stitching. And the other side. Okay, so our center front is now edge stitched and top stitched. And what we need to do is prep for the gathering of the skirt. So for the gathering, we're going to be placing 3 lines of basting stitches. One will be a 1/4 inch from the top, one will be just shy of a 1/2 inch, and the next will be 3/4 of an inch. And the reason for 3 is we have found it just really makes the gathers stay where they're supposed to be, and I find it easier than 2 lines of stitching. So let's head over to the machine and do that now. All right, so I've changed my thread color so that you can easily see the basting stitches versus the regular stitches. And here we have our match point. It's actually right here. So this point is where we're going to start our basting stitches, because this is the button band. We're not going to gather the button band. We want that to be nice and flat. So we're going to start our basting stitches here. And here is our second match point. So I'm going to stop there. And you're going to want to leave thread tails on these because we need something to pull on. They don't have to be super long, just so you have something to grab. Now this next is going to be just shy. So here's a 1/2 inch. I'm just going to go a tiny bit over. That way it's not sitting exactly on our seam line, but it still holds the gathers in place at the seam line. Again, stop at your match point. And our final row is at 3/4 of an inch. So that is right here. Start at the match point. Now we need to attach the front skirt to the front bodice. So we're going to lay out the front bodice, the right side facing up, and the back just folded out of the way. Now take your skirt and place it right side down on top of the bodice. We're going to start by pinning our center front. And again, make sure that is lined up well. Then we're going to pin our side seams. We have a notch here, which is the fold line. And we're going to pin out to that match point. And the match point is also at the point where your interfacing ends. So just in case you lost your match points or anything like that. Then again, for the other side, match up our notch and our side seam. And then it is time to do our gathering. Okay, so what we're going to do is we're going to take the top thread of each of these and just pull gently, easing the excess over towards the center. Now what I do is I typically overgather a bit, a little bit more, and then I pull so that everything is straight. I mean, when I say straight, what I mean is they're both the same length. So I'm going to take these tails because I don't want this to unravel, and I'm just going to weave them around my pin. Then we're going to go back to our gathers. We're going to spread them out evenly along the seam line. And take your time doing this. It can be frustrating getting them even, but I find it's even more frustrating if you're trying to do it quickly. Which I guess is just sort of like anything in life. All right, so that looks pretty good. So we're going to pin. All right, now this, we're not going to leave that in. We don't want to sew over that. So unwind that so we don't have a mess. Now we're going to do the same thing for the other side. Again, grab the top thread of each line of stitching. And gently pull and ease the excess towards the center. Okay. All right, so those are the same length now. And again, just distribute your gathers as evenly as possible. That looks pretty nice. Pin it in place. And there we go. Now we're going to go over to the machine and we are going to sew along the waistline seam using our 1/2 inch seam allowance. Now I like to sew with my gathers facing down. The reason for that is that the feed dogs move the fabric on the bottom through the machine ever so slightly faster than the fabric on the foot because of friction. So I like to use that to my advantage. All right, so here we go. Oh, hey, you know it's a good idea, putting your stitch length back. Let my mistakes keep you from making the same mistake. All right, now here I have all the thread tails. I've just grabbed them and pulled them up so that they don't get, sewn in and out of the seam line. And remove your pins as you come to them. And we have a lot of fabric happening right now, so just take your time. Make sure that the back of the bodice isn't getting caught on anything. Sometimes the armholes or the neckline of that can get stuck on the corner of your machine. And then here we are again, these guys. So I'm just going to pull them up away. Don't want to run them over either. And out to the side. All right, now before you pull any basting stitches out, just take a look at your gathering. Flip your bodice over and look at the seam. Make sure you think everything looks good. I think this looks fine. Then we're going to take out the basting stitches. So I just grab the ones that we've already pulled, and starting at the top, I just start gently easing it out. There we go. Then you're going to want to make sure you get the thread on the other side. Then we're going to do the bottom one, because that one's also quite easy. Again, just start pulling, and I'm just wrapping it around my hand. There we go. Now grab the other side of the thread. Now we have the one that is just shy of our seam line. So this one can get caught a bit occasionally. So you'll see right here at the beginning, I'm already a bit caught. So I'm just going to take a look. There we go. Take a few out. And just continue pulling. And that was quite easy because we didn't go right over the seam line. It was just shy. And now we have our underside. For some reason, I find this always the hardest one to take out. Stuck in the center there. And, oh, pardon me, right over to the side. So all our basting has now been removed. What we're going to do now is serge the waistline seam. I am also going to do that with the gathers facing down. And I'm just using my fingers to make sure everything is properly aligned and going through the machine. And there we have our finished edge. So what we're going to do here is we're going to press the seam allowance towards the bodice. Now on the straight part here, that's easy. But if you do that here, it's going to flatten out all your gathers. So real quick, we'll do the other button band area. So what I do for this is I flip it so the gathers are away from my iron. My iron is on this side. The seam allowance is pressed up. And I'm just going to go right along this edge here. And I pull on the gathers a little bit. That way you just press like the very top of them. You can do this on a ham too if you're new to this strange technique and find it difficult. Just work your way across. Just work your way across. Now the final step for the front is to edge stitch right along your seam line, anchoring the seam allowance to the bodice. All right, so my edge stitching foot is back on. And we're just going to go right along that seam line. Put the back bodice up there out of the way. And that is edge stitched. So that is it for the front skirt. All right, so we have assembled and attached our front skirt, and all you need to do is repeat these steps for the back skirt. All right, so that is it for today's lesson. We have assembled and attached the View B skirt. In our next lesson, we will be finishing the armholes and the button bands, so stay tuned for that. As always, if you have any questions, just let me know in the comments below, and make sure you're subscribed to our channel so you don't miss any of our updates. I will see you back here next time. Bye-bye.